Welcome to another player interview. Here is the guest we'll be learning about today.
So I have actually been playing Mabby since beta, which would mark me at being like 8 or 9 when that first released. Basically, my dad and my brother really got into the game and then decided that this would be a good game for me to put some of my time on, and then it ended up just sticking. So I've been here for a very long time. Oh, I didn't know you could hear him. That would be Atlas. He is vocal. Very vocal. He's zooming around right now. So I actually chose the colors orange and yellow with the help of one of my friends named Ambi. She's been playing this game just as long as I have, and she thought it reflected my personality really well because I come off as a really bright and nice person. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. And eventually I landed on this neon orange, and it has been the best thing I've probably worn of all colors. I switch occasionally, but truthfully, I prefer to be bright neon orange because I'd rather stick out than wear just black and blue or like black and red. I like the idea of being able to stick out and find my own character in the crowd. That is actually a hard one. I think my favorite outfit would probably end up being the Naraka Inferno. I just really, really love the idea of fire, and it kind of just goes with the color scheme as is. So I think it's perfect. I had to take a minute to think about this question for a while, but my most memorable Mabby moment was when my old guild Taminogi hosted a PvP tournament at the Philia Arena, and I was this tiny, timid elf who just got back into the game, and my best skill at the time was Ice Bolt, and the only reason is because I ranked that up to 1. I was just staring down a bunch of Gigas and genuinely wondered why I thought this was a good idea. I spent the whole time just praying that my Ice Bolt would do something before I got completely and utterly folded. Truthfully, I think my biggest and proudest achievement in Mabinogi so far is actually creating the guild that I'm running right now, Kitsune Flame. I seemed to have formed this wonderful group of people that all just get along and are really focused on bettering themselves and also helping the community. So it's just really something that I feel positive and happy about. It's something I appreciate, and I can go there and feel safe at all times. It's amazing, honestly. Honestly, if they made it to where, because Astrologer just came out, but if they were to make it to where they made an Astrologer Arcana mixed with either magic or just mixed with something physical, that'd be amazing. Mainly because I sat there for most of my life with the rinky-dink scythe that you couldn't really use for anything. And now they finally made a skill for it, so I'm wondering if maybe they have something later on in life that they're going to turn towards an Arcana, because that would be absolutely gorgeous. They did amazing with what they did with the Astrologer as it is, but seeing what they could do if they were to combine it with other skills or other talents, I would be amazed nonetheless. I have a few people that do inspire me. There's the Odd Fox, who is absolutely amazing in whatever talent he's in. There's Dalvin, who's an amazing alchemic sharpshooter. And then I think my all-time favorite would probably end up being Kaizen, as he's sat there and helped carry me through several layers of content and took the time to actually teach me what I was doing when I decided that I actually wanted to get back into playing the game. For the longest time, I made it to where Mabinogi was my priority. And that kind of put me in this mindset where I realized that this game isn't everything. So I typically go out and I do hiking, or I'll go and do photography. Hell, I'll even take a book and go read in the park just so I can get out of the house. Because in the end of the day, Mabinogi is great, but it's not something you should spend your whole life doing. You tend to watch the years go by, and then you sit there and you wonder where you could have been. So I try to take my time and go elsewhere and basically just experience new things, anything that'll help. Honestly, a food that I'd love other people to try would probably be the corn-breaded empanadas. What my family and I do is we ground up our own corn dough and we just go at it and make these wonderful meat-filled empanadas, and it's the best thing I've probably ever had. I'm really all big on like home cooking, so just being able to do that is a godsend. So if anybody could ever do it, I would definitely recommend that they try the corn-breaded empanadas over the regular flour, just because it's a completely different level of taste. It's amazing. The texture and the consistency, chef's kiss, honestly. I work in the medical field, which means I spend an unhealthy amount of time watching medicine and psychology progress in real time, while also whispering, we're really just figuring this out as we go, kind of just winging it. And so, what I really find important is watching the evolution of how we treat the body and mind as the world changes. And it's endlessly fascinating, but also occasionally terrifying with how the science of things goes. So where I work, I get to see how they simply try new things medically or new tests, how we switch up your wound care. Like, it just depends. But honestly, as a whole, it is just so interesting and important to me to see how far we can go in the medical inclination of things. I want to see us try and like cure cancer. Of course, everybody wants that one, but I want to see how quickly I can get that wound to heal. I want to see how quickly I can help you as a person. I love the absolute science of it, and I completely find it as a really important thing for people, because aside from the world as a whole, when you're outside of the medical field, when you're looking in, you don't really know what's going on. You see one side of it, but when you go into the medical field, you really realize the difference you are making on people outside looking in. The best advice I can give you, honestly, is to be yourself. Even when it feels uncomfortable or scary to do. I spent a large part of my life, both in Mabinogi and in real life, constantly adjusting and technically changing who I was to fit the expectations of others. I thought that if I could be a little quieter, a little easier, or a little more like what people wanted, I'd finally feel like I belonged. But over time, I learned that doing that only leaves you feeling more alone. And even when you're surrounded by people, the moment I stopped trying to mold myself into something more acceptable, quote unquote, and allowed myself to just exist as I am, everything slowly started to change. I began to find people I genuinely vibed with, and people who didn't just tolerate me, but fully accepted me for who I was. When you surround yourself with people like that, life feels a little bit lighter. You don't have to perform, explain yourself, or apologize for existing. And things don't suddenly become perfect, but they do become easier to carry. Being yourself won't bring everyone into your life, but it will bring the right ones, and I feel like that makes all the difference. Those are the people that are going to sit there and be with you when you need them the most, and when it really counts. That is the best advice I could give you. I just want to sincerely thank Tamara for having me today and for giving me the space to ramble a little bit. I really appreciate it more than I can put into words, truthfully, and I just want to thank you, as well as everyone who took the time to actually listen. It genuinely means a lot to me that you spend even a moment of your time sharing that space with me. You're all wonderful people, and I truly hope this year treats you kindly. Who knows, maybe you'll catch me running around Mabby sometimes.
Thanks for taking the time to get to know someone from our community. Make sure to check out our other interviews. Goodbye.